I want to welcome everybody to the Daily Cheat Sheet here with the dude and Golan. I want to remind everybody, as always, very helpful for us if when you download the show or if you listen, hit that automatic download button, follow us, and subscribe. Very helpful. Write a review. You could do this on YouTube. You could do this on Rumble. You could do this on Apple. You could do this everywhere. And we heavily encourage you to do it and make your friends do it at the same time. You could listen to it together. How cool would that be? A daily cheat sheet listening party go on.
Light a fire, hold hands, whatever. Kumbaya this show. Let's do it. Come on,
Yeah.
everybody.
100%. And just to start, and we discussed this a little bit yesterday, but I just posted on Truth, it's like really interesting how people go after crime go on because, you go top down or you go bottom up, right? The whole point with Giuliani going after the mob was really bottom up, everybody ratting up. And so I was thinking to myself, especially with Antifa and all these terrorist organizations, you rat up. These people don't want to go to jail. And what's the best way to find them is whoever's putting an order in for 1,000 flags that aren't American, or who is ever, buying 1,000 tents, 1,000 masks. There should be a little bit of a red flag, FBI. Just my humble opinion.
Yeah, look, we touched upon this yesterday, but I think it absolutely is something that everyone should be paying attention to. This, again, if you're seeing everybody wearing the same shirts, everybody sleeping in the same tents, same sleeping bag, same flag, same accessories, someone is buying in bulk. And just like if someone goes to these days, you go to the pharmacy and you're like, I want 3 bottles of Listerine, you're on a list. And yet somehow you buy 200 tents and everyone's like, have a great camping trip. Time to start paying attention, everybody. I agree.
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, imagine all the sporting goods stores that have gone out of business that really could have used Antifa. They're like, damn it.
REI is like, please let the anti-fascist in here.
We missed those domestic terrorists. We were off the mark. But man, it's a big day. It's a confusing day. And it's one of those days. I just want to put this in a little bit of perspective right now. Israel is agreeing to give up a lot, and especially they're giving up a lot with the 250 murderers, multiple time murderers that they're releasing, the 250 prisoners that have killed Israelis. So this isn't a very simple and easy thing to digest for a lot of people, and I understand that, and I also understand the fact that Hamas is not decimated like people wanted. I don't even know what decimated for Hamas actually looks like. But man, I just want to use one example of how this is such a difficult decision. We are faced in America right now with felons that are committing tons of crimes that have been released from prison 41 times. There's some guy the other day, right? 91 times.
91 times.
91 times. And man, I just want people to have a little perspective how angered we are when we see a girl raped by somebody that was released, or murdered by somebody that was released that was arrested 16 times and judges let them go. The Kavanaugh thing with this attempted person, with the person that attempted to murder Kavanaugh gets 8 years because they're trans. So, man, I think it's very important for people to understand this was not an easy decision, and props to Israel for doing it, but this is tough.
There's 2 narratives you're going to hear coming out in the coming days. And one is victory over genocide. We won the genocide, whatever that means. I don't know how you win a genocide, but you're already seeing Palestinians celebrating
First
victory.
genocide in history where the victims of the genocide gave up the people they kidnapped.
It's a bullshit genocide. There is no genocide.
It's a ridiculous thing.
Yeah. So you're already starting to see Palestinians celebrating victory as if somehow they won something here. And then on the other side, you're going to see, not the other side, the same people are also bemoaning all the destruction of Gaza. And, oh, it used to be so beautiful and it was amazing. And now it's just a pile of rubble. Make up your mind.
It was a destination spot for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody was like signing. It was like between where you got married in Tulum and Gaza. That was like, I was always debating where to go, Tulum or Gaza.
Right. It's a beautiful place. Anyway, so you're seeing these people come out with the two conflicting narratives, yet the same people are pushing them. It's one is Israel's disgusting for what they did and it's all rubble and there's nothing left. And 2, we won.
Sorry,
FAFO.
I'm sorry. Are you pointing out the pattern they've been using since the beginning of this conflict?
All along, yes.
Gaza is the most beautiful place on earth and they've destroyed it. Also, it was an open air prison. It was just like Auschwitz. Like everything they've done has been, my friend once said, and I've never forgotten it, they talk out of both sides of their mouth so much they end up talking out of their ass.
Yeah.
But Golan, I want to get back to this point about the prisoners.
You talked about the prisoners, and there's something to note because you compared it to how upset we get with these repeat offenders that come out and repeat. If there was one case where one offender was a repeat offender, 16, 19 arrests, and was still on the street and then slit someone's throat or raped another girl, one case, that would be enough to send the entire country into an uproar. But that hasn't happened. And we have hundreds, if not thousands of these cases. And it's just become status quo. If you're in a Democrat-run city with a Democrat AG, Attorney General, there's going to be a revolving door and criminals are going to be running rampant all over the place. And you're not allowed to protect yourselves either. It's kind of like reminds me of that. There's a super clip going around between Canada telling residents what to do if someone breaks into your home. And they say, if someone breaks into your home, let them take whatever they want and run for your life and don't do anything. And then the other half is Florida.
Are you sure they're not talking about bear?
And then in Florida, you have the sheriff talking about the same scenario. And he goes, don't do it. All of our residents have guns. And he encouraged all the residents, shoot the intruder so we don't have to lock him up and use taxpayer money to feed this guy while he's in jail.
So on getting back to my point, though, a little bit more, I think I really want people to understand what Israel is sacrificing. These are people that have murdered 6, 10,
well, there's a big
20.
difference between what they're doing. Israel is trading. They're trading murderers to get back civilians.
Right.
They're trading people that were arrested
for hostages. These words matter.
Yes, yeah. It's prisoners for hostages, but it's also even better when you iterate, reiterate, and again and again and again. These are murderers being traded for innocent civilians who were taken from their homes and taken from a music festival. That's the trade. That's what's going on. You have mothers, daughters, grandmothers being traded for bloodthirsty murderers.
Absolutely. And this is not the first time it's happened, obviously. Obviously, Yahya Sinwar was someone who was traded, who became the mastermind of October 7th. This is in the Gilad Shalit trade. And it looks like we have no choice but to do it again. Israel, the only country in the world who's ever asked to do such an insane thing. And part of it is because Israel respects life so much. They are willing to do this, of course. Part of it also is the cognitive dissonance of the people that we know. We know their faces. We know their names. They've been kidnapped. We should have protected them. So now we will sacrifice future victims. We don't know who they are. They are nameless. They are faceless. It is easier for us as human beings to kind of understand why it's okay to let those people die since they don't actually exist yet. They're Schrodinger's victims, as opposed to the people who are there now. So part of it is that. And the other part of it is that Israel needs to learn from its mistakes. The fact that Israel does not have the death penalty for the killers of civilians it's not just ludicrous, it is infuriating. It's not that I'm not a bloodthirsty person who wants punishment or whatever. I don't need it to fit the eye for an eye of October 7th, all of that. But if we can make sentencing of terrorists mandatory, it's just justice. And it stops future brutality. And also, and I'll just one more thing then, which is we incentivize this sort of kidnapping when we have a bunch of people, a bunch of terrorists, a bunch of animals sitting in reserves that we are feeding, that we are paying to keep alive, and that often the judges in Israel are like, you're not treating the guys from October 7th nice enough. You're not feeding them well enough. That's real, by the way. That actually happened. It would be much easier if we said, you don't deserve to live. True deterrent, number one. And number two, we don't have anyone to trade. I'm so sorry.
Well, the other thing is that these guys get, multiple life sentences, but then their comrades go and kidnap somebody and then they get traded out. So if you put them to death, there would be no trading out. Other thing to note is you mentioned that Israel, we hope they learned a lesson and they do it better this time. By better this time, this ceasefire needs to have teeth, meaning if Israel sees Hamas reconstituting and building a battalion, training, doing whatever, what are the options on the table for Israel to do? Because what happened in the past was they would have a ceasefire, then there would be some guy that lobs a rocket out of some village in Gaza. Israel then takes out his house and the world goes, look, Israel's violating the ceasefire, and you have all these gaslighters online saying those exact words. So Israel needs to have some sort of mechanisms in place. So this international force that's going to be there must have mechanisms in place. One is to disarm. They need to get rid of all of the machine guns that are there. RPGs and AK-47s and M16s is what Hamas runs on. That's their main weapons. Sure, they have missile factories too to fire missiles, but their main arms is just RPGs and M16s and 47s. Get rid of all that. They don't need it. They should have BB guns to enforce the law down there, and that's it. So it's going to be interesting to see what teeth are in place by this force. And I suspect it's not going to be great. And I suspect that's going to be the pitfall for this entire peace agreement or ceasefire.
I don't know if it's the pitfall, Golan, or if it's the plan. And it was really interesting listening to President Trump talk this morning when he said, Israel got retribution, and he said 70,000 Hamas were killed. And I was extremely happy he didn't say Gazans. He literally said Hamas. And at the end of the day,
it's accurate. The number of times we've heard, I just for our audience, just for the listeners who may not know this, some of you I know do, but some of you might not. When any numbers were given by the, what did they call it? The Gaza Health Ministry, AKA straight up Hamas. First of all, the numbers were arbitrary and made up, but even the ones that weren't made up were also including again, they did not differentiate. Every terrorist, everybody who died of natural causes, everybody who died of old age, people who obviously had already died, then they came back to life, and then they died again, adults listed as children, men listed as women, everything was skewed. And these numbers were constantly just regurgitated over and over and over again, to the point where recently the numbers that people were parroting started to actually become bigger than the actual populations that they were supposed to reference. The number of kids under 5 years old that were killed, actually the number they gave us was a number larger than kids number 5 that existed in the Gaza Strip altogether. So the numbers not only became arbitrary, they became almost like, let's see what we can get away with. And unfortunately, with so many gullible people and social media and the mainstream media carrying water for Hamas, a lot of people actually were gullible enough to fall for it.
Here's the thing that we need to really focus on is getting the hostages out. That's number one, because I really don't. I think this has all been orchestrated. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I love that Steve Bannon thinks somehow Trump boxed Israel in. I think it's the exact reverse. Anything for a click. Yeah, it's like one of those five-point plans, of Steve Bannon in his mother's basement doing his podcast. But Golan, I think it's also important to note, listen, I don't know any other equation how this worked out with minus getting the hostages out. And this gives Israel time. They're not giving up 53% of Gaza. There's a lot of fail safes that are put into this, and phase 2 is going to probably take 16 years. So I'm okay with this first part. I understand that people are struggling with this. I get it. I get Ben-Gvir. I get Smotrich. I get a lot of people that they're struggling with this. But like I said the other day about, how would you have fought this war differently? I don't see a way of getting out of this as good as we can right now and regrouping and focusing.
Well, who agrees with you, Judah, is President Trump. We named the show this yesterday, but and I think you posted something on Truth Social about it, but there's no truer words right now than President Trump's focus on this particular thing. While he wants to go there and he wants to be the one to shake the hands and welcome the people home who have been stuck in tunnels and in chains and in cages. Yes, but it's not the optics. It was the people. It has nothing to do with approval ratings, had nothing to do with deals for deal's sake. Not that Trump hasn't succumbed in the past to deals for deal's sake and all the rest. Right now, all he's been focusing on are the human beings, the human capital. And that's why this is the first phase. Not many people realize that the reason why this deal, after all the time that deals didn't happen, why this one now, hopefully, knock wood, everything actually happens this weekend as it should. But the reason why this one happened was because he said, we're not going to agree. He said, and the people with him, Witkoff and Kushner, they said, we're not going to agree on future stages. So let's just focus on phase 1. Phase 1, you want Israel to back up, and they want you to put your arms down and return the hostages. Same thing they've been saying forever. All the sticking points have come after. So let's not worry about what happens next. Let's deal with phase 1. Let's sign off on that. And that was the masterstroke. My sources tell me that Kushner was the one who came up with that, but it's fine. All three of them were there. All three of them were part of this process.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thinks it was Witkoff.
Yeah, well,
no offense to Witkoff, but man, we've spoken about this, and I just want to end this subject with this because I don't want to speculate about phase 2. Man, let's just pray the hostages get back, and the next 72 or however many hours after they actually sign this deal. Let's pray we get the 20 hostages that are living back, and let's pray that they can recover as good as anybody could recover after being tortured and enslaved and beaten and everything for 2 years and 1 day.
Yeah, I mean, the first and foremost thing on everybody's mind is getting the hostages back. Trump knew that. And when the Qataris and the Turks and everyone else came to him and said, "Oh, you have to get Israel to stop," his response to them always was, "Release the goddamn hostages. Give us back our people, all of them." So it was a masterstroke on his part not to allow it to be piecemeal, 3, 2, 4 at a time. We don't want that. All of them back. We need them all back. Then you want to talk about ending it? That's how it ends. And he stuck to his guns and he held those people and he made them do it. That was the genius stroke on how this deal got done. I don't know the inside scoop yet. We haven't heard.
And we can't discuss it. There's no
Can't
point.
discuss,
Let's just.
there is one thing I do want to bring up, though, that isn't about the hostages, but is something that I want to just plant the seed. We can talk about it more later, but I want to point out how important it is. I was having this conversation again with Guy Goldstein, friend of the show. He and I were chatting about how important it is that Egypt was the one who was the middleman on this and not Qatar. They were in Sharm el-Sheikh. They were doing the negotiating there. They became the power broker that closed this deal. And this actually has the potential to be a tectonic shift in Middle East diplomacy, especially when it comes to the United States and Trump. We can talk about it more later, but Qatar, of course, is part of this. They're present. They're part of the conversation. So is Turkey. Obviously, they were meant to be the ones pushing Hamas to say yes, etc. But Egypt became the linchpin, and that is really interesting. It's one of the things we didn't see coming.
I also think, is just to wrap it up, I think it's important to note that we can't always live on past mistakes. Obviously, the Gilad Shalit transfer and not tracking those people and having Sinwar, come out of that. But at the same time, I can't stand everybody's foreign policy in America being based on the fact that we screwed up past foreign policy. It doesn't mean you lose all foreign policy at that point because you've made mistakes. Every country has made mistakes in regards to foreign policy. It doesn't mean you capitulate. And it doesn't mean you don't keep on trying and doing it better the next time. And that's the hope. I want to move on, though, because, just quickly, because I don't think people realize this. And I said it to you before the show about the Nobel Peace Prize, right? And I really don't think the Nobel Peace Prize is deserving of Trump. I love that Bob Dylan didn't go and get his. But remember, these are people that gave it to Obama. It's 5 Norwegians. Literally, people don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's 5 dipshit Norwegians who have this.
It's fancy Golden Globes. That's all it is.
No, I mean, I don't even understand why people think this is like some sort of spectacular thing. It's Norway. Well, does anybody, going back to the reference before about vacation in Gaza, when was the last time you've heard somebody say, Golan, wow, Norway and their innovations, they've brought a lot.
You know what? Here's the way I look at it. These awards have mattered in the past. There's something that they again, it's branding, right? They have a certain name, they have a certain cachet. I believe that we have gotten to the point, and we've seen it already. Some
Obama
of the people they've had,
well,
not just Obama, there's a whole handful of people.
Yeah.
I won't get into all of them.
Neville Chamberlain.
People are going to start to get real insulted if I start calling out each of the individuals, but there's a bunch where you're like, this basically took the entire thing and flushed it down the toilet. The way I look at it is it's a relic of elite gatekeeping. And you know what? If Trump does get it, it might be the thing that actually revives it, like forces its relevance. But without that, it's something I know he likes the idea of it because it sounds nice and all of this. But this is a guy, Trump, and I'm not cheerleading for Trump. I'm just stating facts. He's brokered more deals. He's ended more conflicts. He's repositioned American power. He is, in terms of real politics, this is what the Nobel Committee should be seeking out and diving to support. And when they're not, it's partisan, it's bullshit. At this point, I think it's time to wrap that one up.
Yeah, man, I brought that up because, how many people really ever do a deep dive into who's actually doing the voting and where it's coming from? You hear Nobel Peace Prize, right? Nobel laureate. You hear always these terms, and nobody ever says, what exactly is it? Where is it coming from? Who are the people that are deciding it?
That's why I call it fancy Golden Globes, because it was
I think
there's like a handful of weird foreign critics that gave an award. Wait, why do we care about this? Oh, because famous people are on TV, so we pretend it matters. Same thing.
And so, Mend, I'll say this because Ben Stein brought it up. He belongs on Rushmore, and I have no problems with saying that. Carve out Rushmore for him. Screw the
Are you
stupid
swapping
Nobel.
somebody out, or are you adding?
No,
You add one more.
Add one more.
I was
It's funny.
I was going to try and bait you into telling me which one you'd take off, but all right.
Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize. What was it? Within first 3 months of being in office?
It might have been shorter. It might have been shorter.
I
for
think it
just
was
showing
less,
up, for being
Yeah.
elected.
Hey, he was black.
Then I can't say anything.
Well, that's
Okay,
it. That's all I
let's
have.
stop.
No,
Let's
that's
stop.
why he got
Yes,
the Nobel
there you
Peace
go.
Prize. Sorry. Yeah. You thought I had more? No, neither did they.
Yeah, great. So, I do think Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, but at the same time, that organization and those people, I don't ever see them giving it to him. I just don't. I don't think it's going to happen. So
I don't, by the way, I agree with you. I don't either. But at the same time, the point that Golan's bringing up, or what I'm trying to bring up, is like, it doesn't matter. These are relics. It's like the National Medal of Honor, right? When I said we got to change it, like to, call it this, it was like, because I got this idea when I was like listening to Norm Macdonald host the Canadian Oscars, and they have like a terrible name. And he's like, gets up there and he's like, I think we should call it the Candies, right? After John Candy. And he's like, I want everybody to come up tonight. And when they get their awards, say, I want to thank you for this candy. And it was so brilliant. And after we've seen you look at the places like the Kennedy Center honors that have been bastardized, and the awards that were given to George Soros and Hillary Clinton go on. It doesn't have that. Nobody gives I love the way you said that. It's like relics of the past. Like we're chasing. And what I love about Trump is he's the brander in chief too. Come up with more. Come up with something exciting for people.
I agree. Speaking of, I'm going to divert for just a moment because I wanted to tell you, Judah, you yesterday were talking about all the dystopian movies and novels and everything. I just remembered this. I have to just share it. So last night when I couldn't fall asleep, I put on John Carpenter's Escape from New York. I'm sure it's something that you're familiar with.
It's in my post. Thank you for reading it, but go on.
There you go. Yes, I know this is why I'm bringing it up. I'm coming to it. So the two tiny explosive charges, the microscopic capsules that they put in the Snake Plissken's neck, that are going to explode and kill him if he doesn't get the president's daughter back in time. Israel, why don't you put that into everybody you're releasing?
That's Men's idea.
I said that a long time ago.
Men always
you
says
didn't
that.
reference Snake Plissken, so
Yeah, you
I
didn't.
didn't. I should have.
Because in Men's defense, listen, I always defend men
Before
when it
you
comes
go
to
forward, I
movies.
just want you to know that I sat my kids down one night and we watched that movie together.
Okay, I'm proud of you. Very proud of you, my friend. You know what movie I watched last night, guys? I watched I Love You, Man, because I could watch it again knowing that Rush will be performing in Los Angeles. I was able to watch it with sheer joy. So, and the fact that
we got to get Judah for his birthday 2 tickets to Rush.
2 tickets to paradise, my friend. But man, getting back to it, I think these awards are. But I love your idea of implanting, and I think Israel hopefully will have learned their lesson and have done it. Like Candace Owens keeps on talking about, she has a kill switch. Put a kill switch in. I'm okay with that.
We should put both of those in her neck too. Not that I would advocate for
tomorrow.
such
You're going to be on her show. Golan, the guy with the menorah behind his head, is saying that they want to kill Candace.
The Hebrew on his shirt. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But you know what? You have to. You know what? Can I say something? I think after 2 years and 2 days, and the thought, as I brought up in the post, that because of the media, because of the campuses, because of world, because of the left, because of the woke right, we've made to feel like the last 2 years has been our fault. And it's felt like 7 years. And you know what? Today we could laugh and today we could smile. I haven't really felt Golan. I got to be honest with you. Every time I've been at an event or a party or at somebody's house for the last 2 years and 2 days, all I could think about was the hostages and what's going on in Israel. That's all that was going on in my mind. It would not stop. So, today we laugh. Today we celebrate and pray that it lasts and pray that the hostages get back safely. But I think that's why I'm a little giddy today. I got to be honest with you. And we should be.
It makes complete sense. I listened to some podcast. I don't remember who said it, but someone said we should be looking at this with cautious pessimism. And I've been looking at it with cautious optimism. I'm an eternal optimist anyway. So for me, the idea of cautious optimism is I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm holding my breath. I know that this is Hamas. Hamas, everything that they do is designed for psychological torture, for last minute rug pulling, all the rest. So until everybody is safe and in our arms and everything else, we can't stop holding our breath collectively. A friend of mine put it very succinctly. He said, it feels like all of us for the last 2 years have been dying of a terminal illness. And we were told that on Monday, it's possible that the life-saving surgery is going to come and take it all away. And so now all we can do is wait and try not to let it occupy every moment of our day and just keep hoping and praying that everything turns out okay.
No, 100%. And
your buddy's spot on with that statement.
And I just want to say this for people. The reason I'm bringing this up, I really want to, because there are a lot of people, even on Truth and all over, that are really conflicted about this. Now, you two guys we're all really hardliners. I think that's a fair thing to say. And that the three of us are cautiously optimistic about this should be an extremely telling thing for people. Not that we're special, but that we're hardliners. And we're looking at this with hope, not with pessimism. And I've seen that. I've seen the stories. I've seen those discussions. It was some older woman talking about that, and I don't want to talk about the past always. I get it. We've made so many mistakes, but if you live in the past, you're not being in the present and you're not being correct to the present. And that's all I want to say about that. I'm happy you saw Escape from New York, man, with your kids. Brilliant, just a brilliant movie. And the whole point was, though, Golan, was yes, everything that the left is dystopian. That's the world they live in. That's the world they manifest. And when you look at Chicago right now and Brandon Johnson, there's nothing more dystopian than Chicago right now.
I mean, Brandon Johnson, of course, just recently, I think today, was asked, if an illegal alien raped your wife, would you want ICE to deport him? And his answer was no answer. He refused to answer. I don't know if that means that he just loves illegal aliens, if he hates his wife, or if he's a coward, or all three. But something's wrong with not answering that question when you're asked it. It's or at least not knowing the answer really easily.
Yeah, and Mend, I think part of him. Listen, this is like that question, right? You should automatically say if you're famous, right? If you're famous, if you're anybody, you should automatically come out and say, of course, she's my wife, she's my children, right? I mean, it almost sounds like he's encouraging the illegal aliens to actually maybe cause harm to certain people that he wants to get rid of.
Well, allegedly, here we go.
Allegedly.
I
like whenever Ben starts allegedly.
I'm thinking I'm going to hold back a little bit. I don't want to get us banned off of YouTube, but Brandon Johnson is a complete and utter POS. As we said before, they had Lori Lightfoot, who was terrible. And then they said, oh, that wasn't bad enough. Let's get this guy, Brandon Johnson, in, who's an absolute racist. He's a moron. He has ruined Chicago. I drove through Chicago when we drove cross country in 2020, and we managed to get it in between riots. There was like a 2-week lull where we got in and we had a great time. Had some Chicago dogs and whatever else you do in Chicago.
That's a sentence you just said. We went on vacation. When'd you go there? Oh, between riots.
Right between the riots. We were in town, and there was an Uber driver driving us from one place to the other. And he's like, oh, you just missed it. I mean, everything was on fire here last week, but now it's all calm and nice, and the windows were all boarded up again. And we actually had a good time, but I wanted to get out of Dodge. We didn't spend a lot of time there. We just made a straight shot to Colorado. But Brandon Johnson, Lori Lightfoot, and the people of Chicago are just doubling down on stupid. This guy would not have a problem with someone raping his wife because he doesn't have a problem with someone raping his city and all of it. It's like the same thing.
Yeah, actually, but he encourages it. He doesn't just not have a problem with it. He's encouraging it.
He looks a little gay. The guy looks like when you said he has a wife, he let someone, I was like, that guy's married. That's probably just a marriage of convenience for his.
Doesn't look. I mean, I don't know if he looks gay, but he looks like he just broke out of prison or broke out of a mental institution.
Look, I think it's a gay mental institution that he broke out of.
Now that's a John Carpenter movie. Hang on. So here's what I'm saying. Whether he's this, whether he's that, or anything else, his refusal to answer signals something that we all need to be paying attention to. It signals weakness. It signals moral ambiguity. Or at worst, it signals that he is going to calculate politically rather than actually adhere to principles. And that, to me, lately, is the left MO. If you look back, whether it's Every time they asked Kamala Harris a question about immigration and she would start changing the subject to, buses or Venn diagrams or whatever, she was running away from the question. Same way, it's like she wouldn't go on Rogan or any of these other places because they were going to ask questions she didn't want to answer. The famous, Dukakis not being able to answer. If Kitty were raped and murdered, would you want the death penalty for a kill? Well, I don't think so. I oppose the death penalty. It's like every time that's political expediency over principle. And when you see that, that's someone you can't trust with your family. That's
Well,
the
she
bottom
did.
line.
She also did have a drinking problem, so maybe Michael Dukakis,
Again, we have a lot of conspiracy theories on today's show.
Remember,
All
no,
these
but,
leftists. It's not that they didn't want to answer.
I mean, she was
Can we be
famous
honest?
for
Let's be
she was
honest.
famous for drinking perfume.
Let's
right?
be honest about this Brandon Johnson thing. He's just saying publicly what they like to say publicly, that it's never the criminal's fault, right? All that stuff. But privately, he has private security, lives in a beautiful gated mansion, and he's never subjected to the results of his own policies. He doesn't have to live with those consequences. That's for the peasants that live in Chicago. So, his non-answer actually does make sense, because that's what he wants to bestow on all of the citizens of Chicago, but it doesn't actually affect him. He was probably thinking, what are you talking about? I've got 7 layers of security. Nobody's getting into my house. I don't even have to answer that.
But the difference is in the 80s, in the late 80s, 88, 89, whenever Dukakis gave that stupid answer, it basically ended his political career.
Yeah,
Because
and
people
now it
look-
doesn't.
87.
And we
It
talked
had to be
about that.
87.
We talked about that
there you go.
yesterday, where we said when they get trounced, when they get beaten, they don't admit defeat. They come
That's
out
right.
somehow and saying that was a win. I defied Trump. I stood up to this
Well,
guy.
it's so good that what you're talking about right now, and I really like it, Golan, because I want to go on this thread, because we constantly compare Democrats now to the leftist ideology, right? So they're getting trounced with this stuff, and it's like you see people in Gaza celebrating. I don't know what the hell they're celebrating. You lost, you lost, and to this
ask me that
lefty
question. I'll give you
ideology,
the answer to what they're celebrating. But let's
but
finish
to
this
this
topic
leftist
first.
ideology that they think they're winning it's like they're a bunch of Baghdad Bobs.
Yeah, self-delusion, right? The Nile ain't just a river in Egypt. Look, this is 100% right. This is similar to Schumer now shouting about how the shutdown is. I don't remember exactly what the quote was, but he was basically saying, like, we're doing a great job. Every day is better for us because we're showing everybody how terrible Trump is by forcing the government to stay closed, by having airport lines get longer, by having people, and some of them, by the way, we talked about back pay. Some of them now are not going to get back pay. So by screwing over civil servants, what are you doing? For what? So illegal aliens can get health insurance? As far as I can tell, that's what it seems like you're doing it for.
That's the sticking point.
Or that people who broke the law won't get punished for it. The whole point of you doing this is to hurt American citizens while you're advocating for non-citizens. And you think you're winning? That is delusion. And this is now happening so many times where I see people celebrating and I go, do they not realize what people think they look like right now? So no, I think you're absolutely right. This has become a trademark of the left.
I want you to think about this for a second. So Trevor Noah just came out and had this joke.
Trevor Noah's still alive?
Yes, he's still. He's
Didn't he single-handedly ruin the Daily Show?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that's always debatable because their numbers were never great. Jon Stewart's numbers were never amazing. Just Trevor Noah totally tanked it. But he made it. He came out and he said about Charlie Kirk. There's something funny about him talking about guns, talking about and getting shot at the same time.
Class
go
act.
on. You're an absolute class act, and I would have no problem. He got deported. Deport him tomorrow. He's not American, right? I don't think he's got an American citizenship. Deport his ass back to Australia tomorrow.
Is that where he's from? Is he Australian?
I think Trevor knows.
Is he
thought
South
he's a Brit.
African?
South
I thought because he was
Africa or
remember born a
British?
crime, like with the black mom and the black dad, or the white mom, or the something like born a crime.
Wherever the hell he was born,
comedy, yeah.
wherever the hell he was born, get back.
Here's my thing. I don't need everyone to be deported. Okay, like if they broke the law, if they're here illegally, fine. If they're advocating for terror, fine. If they're terrorizing people, fine. Yeah, I was right. So yeah, I tried to watch his first stand-up special. Can I really quick? I'm just going to, so I used to watch The Daily Show, and I disagreed with John on a lot of things, but I watched The Daily Show and I watched The Colbert Report almost every episode. It was something I used to do with my friends. Even when I disagreed, I enjoyed the humor. Sometimes I enjoyed the insight, even when I disagreed, and I enjoyed like having people on that showed him he was wrong. And I really thought it was a well done thing. Trevor Noah came in and destroyed the show. And just this is just a quick aside. I remember when they were figuring out who was going to replace John, and they had all the people who were on the show already kind of semi-auditioning for the seat. And then at one point, Trevor Noah showed up out of nowhere. And I didn't know that he was, being groomed to take over. And I remember turning to my girlfriend at the time and going, ugh, God, they brought in this new correspondent, and he is the least funny person they've ever had on the show. He's so smug and his insights are so shallow. Well, luckily, whoever's taken over will probably get rid of him. That was a waste of time. And then a couple of days later, it was announced that we brought him in so he could take over. I'll just never forget how I thought, oh, it's like you deliberately are tanking the show at this point. Then, of course, not to mention his tweets about Jews and his, tweets about whites and his tweets about everybody else that we swept under the rug after we fired Roseanne. Anyway, the point is, I don't need everybody deported. Okay. What I do want is for people to be held accountable, which means I want to understand why anyone's still talking about him. Why is he still being platformed? Why is he still being talked about? I don't want to talk about Trevor Noah. I actually did. I forgot he existed until you mentioned him, and I was happier for it. This is a guy who's not funny, who's not insightful. He's a racist. He's a piece of shit. And now that I'm hearing what he said about Charlie Kirk, he's even a bigger piece of shit. And I already thought he was a piece of shit. So talk about doubling down. Ugh, garbage.
Yes, spot on. He ruined that show. They ruined the show.
For somebody that didn't want to talk about Trevor Noah, you sure went on a hell of a long time talking about Trevor Noah. So good job at that. It's official. Hamas chief declares war in Gaza is over. His terror group confidant and Trump brokered ceasefire. So there's that. And right now, breaking, Letitia James has been indicted over mortgage fraud claims. Thank God. This is the best tasting. I don't want to say
it's not revenge. It's not revenge. It's karma.
This is the best tasting justice.
Karma. It came full circle for her.
But it's also justice, Golan and Mend. It's justice. She actually broke the law. She didn't come up and concoct laws and run on a campaign to go against somebody. She broke the law. And it's like really, truly, men, when you think about this, it's so fascinating because it's the boomerang. What was she saying about Trump? That he lied about, or that he lied about
a mortgage. It was to get a mortgage.
The value of his property.
The value of his estate, right? It's so hard
this
to remember
is some Aesop's fable shit that this is so one-to-one here.
It's great. It's amazing. It's exactly the same thing she was accusing him of.
Yes, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's karma. It's amazing. Like, do you remember Elliot Spitzer out of New York? He was the attorney general for New York who took down all the big banks, yet he was doing some shady stuff himself. Like, if you're going to be the one to be at the forefront in the public eye going after something, you better make sure you're not in a glass house. If you're throwing rocks, these people just don't get it. So absolutely, lock her up. Let's get that chant. Lock her up. Lock her up.
No, go on. It's great. Listen, the Comey thing I don't think is really going to go many places, but I think a case like this, God willing, gets her locked up. She won't be. It's a good day.
You know what? Good day or not, I just want to see some action. As we've talked about, again, ad infinitum. We don't have to go into the whole thing. But the idea of finally holding someone accountable, it's what I was just talking about with the Trevor Noah thing. There, I was talking about societally. Here, it's legally. And as Mend has pointed out many, many times, there are certain things that we know because the evidence is already, it's on video. It was in a letter. It was already proven. We watched it happen live. All of these things, the idea of seeing actually accountability coming to fruition, it's all we've been asking for. It's one of the most frustrating parts of what's been going on within the administration. And it seems like they're finally putting their foot down on the gas when it comes to this, while also solving more wars. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a good day for all of us. And it looks like it's going to be a good future.
You bring up a really important point. You did today without realizing it. Men, that's usually men's thing. But you just brought up something extremely important. Donald Trump yesterday, when he announced the truce, right? He was having it was a cabinet meeting and a roundtable about Antifa and about all these terrorist organizations, because they're working on improving that. Go on. Obviously, they're working on indicting these people and arresting it and going from the top. And we've mentioned yesterday who the top is. It's what's the guy's name in China? Neville
Roy Singham.
Neville, whatever.
And all the other groups involved. And the knock always is about America first or America only is, I can't think of what more Trump can try to do to help America that he's doing within the law and what judges are allowing. So he's able to go on more than one thing at a time. He's able to broker peace deals. And, today it's amazing. Patel fired the two FBI, the FBI agents that were snooping on the senators. So good for him.
This is the thing we talked about a couple of days ago, the Arctic Frost thing, where they were spying on Hawley and Graham and Johnson and Loomis and everybody else. So finally, again, accountability. And we even said on the show where we broke that news, we were like, I hope somebody actually gets held accountable for this. And this one happened fast. So I think we're starting to see a shift in how they're responding to the things that are coming up.
Mend?
The announcement from Pam Bondi that they're taking down all of them. They're taking down the Roy Neville Chamberlain, the Soros. She listed all the different organizations and she says we're going to do RICO on them. I think it's great. That is what we've been asking for a really long time. You're saying that this thing with Comey's not going to go anywhere. There was a story out today that there were 2 anti-ICE protesters who assaulted officers, and they were caught with a loaded weapon. And for some reason, the DOJ, federal charges, they charged them in Chicago, which is where the crime took place. But the local jury decided that they don't want to convict, and they just let them off the hook. So that is going to be a problem going forward if the DOJ decides to press charges against these guys and try them in areas that are so woke that the general population is just anti-America, anti-law and order, and anti-anything this government does.
Yeah, it's always, listen, this is the thing you got to realize, and I keep on trying to remind people is we don't have juries, and we don't have, in many states, and we don't have judges on our side. And when I say on our side, I mean the side of the law.
Right.
Okay, let me like make that clear. We're talking about being on the side of the law.
I think you're absolutely right. And look, obviously, we can talk about this politically. We can split this along party lines and all of that. But let's just set all of that aside, because if there is a judge that is, appointed by, let's say, a liberal president, or purports to be a liberal themselves, or donates to liberal causes or whatever, but they actually look at the law and they actually judge things according to what is in the book, because that is the point, right? Judges are to interpret the law and they are to act accordingly. They are not meant to go beyond the law. And what we see on a regular basis is judges saying, this is what should happen. But because of these mitigating factors, wait a minute, where did that wasn't in the law. That wasn't in the book. You're no longer interpreting what's in the book. You've decided to freestyle. But this isn't jazz. You have to stick to the notes that are on the page. And so I don't care what side of the aisle they come from, frankly. If they are willing to do their jobs, which means interpreting the law as it is written, then I have no problem. So what you're talking about is not we don't have liberal or we don't have enough conservative judges. What you're talking about is we have judges that are not judges. We have judges that are activists.
Yeah, I think I think you're 100% correct. And I mean, obviously, we both agree with each other on that. Mend, we are in for some trying times. And I just want to give people a warning right now and a heads up. You're going to hear so much crap on X right now. And we brought this up a little before, and I want to give people a warning, because you're not going to like the clips that are being shown. They're going to disgust you. They're going to horrify you. Men, people are going to be, for the next 3 days until these hostages are released, you're going to hear the worst of the worst of the worst people in the world doing anything for clickbait. You're going to hear the worst, either for clickbait or because they're true anti-Semitics, or they're true anti-Israel, or they're true anti-American or anti-Christian, man. I want to give people a heads up. Maybe for the next 72, however many hours until those hostages are released. Because you know what? Christians in this country care just as much as the Jews, okay? Christians want to see those hostages released. Normal Americans want to see those hostages released. So
can I just say, anybody who has a shred of morality, a shred of ethical fiber anywhere in their being should want to see hostages released. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. and he's a director, and he was casting somebody. He made an offer, and the person read the script, and they were like, "Oh my God, I love it so much." And then he posted after the deal got done last night, they're finally coming home. And then suddenly got a call from the reps. She reread the script and decided she wasn't as enthusiastic after all, in such the most obvious play. And he said to me, "Can you believe this is controversial? I didn't say I'm pro this. I didn't say I'm pro that. I just said I want hostages, innocent people who are in tunnels, to come home. And that is controversial now." So be aware I'm going to let you finish what you were saying because it's really important, Judah. But I want you to think about that it's not that we're saying Jews or Israelis. We're saying anybody who has a shred of morality or ethical fiber, period.
If you think it's going to be bad over the next few days as we wait for the hostages to be released, look at what happened after the last set of hostages were released or the first set of hostages were released. When Mia Shrem got out, the internet was just making fun of this girl who was held captive, possibly raped, abused, all of that stuff. And they were just mocking her in all the videos. So you're going to see the same thing. So the pain is not going to be over, but at least the healing could begin. We know that Israel has amazing social workers. I know some out there that are working with these people to try to help them regain some sort of life. I listened to Sharabi, the hostage who was released,
Eli
talking. Eli Sharabi, right? He got out, and one of the first things the social worker told him was that his mother and his sister was there, and he immediately understood that his wife and his 2 daughters were dead. I don't know how you come back from that. My instinct would be to strap on a suicide vest and go and take out as many of those people as I could. Like, what do you have left to live for? And the resilience of that guy, he's talking about his drive to go on is to help other former hostages recover. What an amazing human being. What a lesson to be learned from that guy.
100%. And go on to his point that he just brought up. It gave me chills thinking about it, but it gave me chills thinking about something else because we brought this up in that post yesterday about President Trump using his shield to protect Israel, his shield and cloak to protect Israel. There's something extremely special about him going to speak at the Knesset when the hostages are coming back and him getting to meet, hopefully, and greet the hostages. And I know it's not a PR stunt.
It may not be a PR stunt, but the optics are amazing.
But
for this guy to have released all of the hostages, Trump did it. Biden did not do it, was not going to do it, could not do it, couldn't bring himself to do it. Forget about the French, the Brits, and the Canadians. They're complete sellouts. They are.
But if you could just let me finish what I was saying,
Sorry, go for it.
No. I agree with you, but I think it's something even more special because it has to do with what you're talking about. There's something about him being. I always use him as my bodyguard, right? The movie, he's the bodyguard now of the world. And there's something extremely special about him going there saying, I got these people. They're under my cape right now. If you want to come after them, you're coming after me. And I just think there's something so, I love how people this is Trump's whole life has been helping people. Making money and helping people and having fun. That sort of sums up and loving his family. That sums up Donald Trump, right? And there's something really special about that thought of him going there to shield almost what he knows is going to go on.
Well, look, I think one thing we all have to be very real about when you mention what's to come is this is the end of, we're going to say it this way. It's the end of the battle, but it's not the end of the war. I know that this is meant to be a contract or a treaty that ends the war, but this is one battle after another, not the movie, in real life. And you need look no further than the people in Gaza said when they heard there was a treaty, when they heard that there was something being signed. They cheered not because a genocide was ending, because there was no genocide. They cheered not because food was going to come in, because they weren't starving. They cheered not because their kids would stop getting killed. They have kids so they can die on behalf of jihad. They tell us that. I'm not saying that. And what were they cheering for? Well, now we can continue our fight. Never forget our fight. And this is not going to end today. And what I realize is, and this is where the danger comes for everybody who's listening to this that isn't in Israel right now, the diaspora is about to become the main battleground. Because now they're still going to say, we need Palestine still to be free. right? That still hasn't happened. So they're going to
Well,
still continue to march, continue to commit violence, continue to do all of that. But now they're going to say, we're not even holding your hostages. There isn't even a war. There isn't someone to surrender. Now you're the villain and I'm the victim, and Free Palestine is the line. And they are going to continue to commit violence and chant and break things and do all the rest. They're going to escalate this.
yes, but you
They're
know what the
not going to
difference
bring
is?
it down.
But here's the difference.
Tell
For
me,
the
make me feel better.
For the
I
entire
just did with Trump going there
for the
and speaking in front of the Knesset. That should make you feel like the
That makes me feel great
But hold on.
about there. But I'm
But
also
here's the
talking
big
about what's going
difference.
to
You're
happen
right.
in the rest of the world.
Golan, you're right. You're right, but here's the big difference is that for the last 100 years, every single Arab nation touted that line, and it trickled down from the leaders when there was anything wrong in their country. Take Iraq. Iraq was having a problem. They were invading Kuwait. And when America said don't do that, Iraq bombed Israel. Why'd they bomb Israel? What does Israel have to do with it? It's because, hey, look over there. There are the Jews. I'm gonna go get those Israelis. So for the last 100 years, every single leader in the Arab world blamed all of their woes on the Israelis and the Jews. And now with Trump pushing this peace plan, which will enhance the Abraham Accords, and now you're going to get even the Qataris on board. So he's got Saudi Arabia and all of the other Arab nations. So now from the leadership on down, there's a mandate that we now have a relationship and we're working towards peace, not when working towards demonizing the Israelis.
And it's a great point to add to
that
that.
Means that these
Can
people
I just add to that quickly? Because you're bringing up such a good point. Is the point is that's the whole thing that I brought up in the beginning, which is this is the whole show. It's to give those people cover that they could then say when Hamas acts up or those people act up, listen, you guys signed that deal. You guys, we're like, we're cleaning our hands.
That's what we talked about. The deal itself has to have teeth so that, the force that's going to be taking over Gaza could actually enforce the fact that there should be no military operations coming out of Gaza that threatens Israel. That's first and foremost. So what's going to happen with the diaspora? You're right. There are tons of Jew haters, Israelite haters. You call them whatever you want. The pro-Pally lunatics, they're going to be abandoned. They're going to be abandoned by the leadership in the Middle East. The only ones that they have left, the only one they're going to have left is Iran. And Iran is about to get their asses handed to them again. So that's going to be off the table. So then they're going to be orphans.
I don't disagree with you that in the Middle East, we're going to see, and hopefully
here it's going to be terrible. I know what you're saying. You're both talking about something else, and that's why
that's exactly my point. Is we're talking about
just
two
give me
different
1 second. I want you to
ahead.
explain to people very quickly. When you say diaspora, we know what that means. Not a lot of people always know what diaspora means.
Fair enough. What it means is the Jews that are outside of Israel, who are living in Europe, who are living in America, who it's not battlefield warfare, it's narrative warfare. We're talking about information campaigns. The last stat for 18 to 29-year-olds is 82% of the content that they're seeing on social media is anti-Jewish and anti-Israeli, right? That is coming from Russia, that is coming from China, that is coming from North Korea, and that is coming from Iran. It has been coming from Qatar as well. If Qatar is truly under the thumb of Trump, as Al Jazeera seems to be indicating to us with their softening, then that's one of the players that's out of the game. There are still others out there. And my daughter and I are leaving for Israel in a couple of days, and I had to have a talk with her today and let her know this thing was signed and these people are out of the game, but there's still a lot of people who are going to try and do bad things. And so if the alarm goes off, just grab Saba's hand and go into the shelter. So this is still going to be part of it, but there it's going to be a lot less. In the diaspora outside of Israel, it's going to ramp up. I'm imagining here in Spain, it is going to go nuclear now. It is not going to subside.
And here's the thing. I begged you to get out of Spain.
I'm working on it.
Something that was very encouraging that came out was Austria said we will not hold the Eurovision in 2026 if Israel is boycotted. So you're starting to immediately see a ripple effect. And as I posted yesterday, you're going to see all the people right now that were on the wrong side. And they're going to do everything in their power. That's what I was trying to warn people of, to prove that that everything they claimed or everything they said was 100% true.
By the way, you're forgetting, let's just stay on Eurovision for a second. So Austria said that they were supposed to host, right? Germany said, and they're the biggest at Eurovision, if Israel's excluded, we're not participating. And you're going to see other countries do the same thing. Spain's going to be the only one holding their dick in their hand, saying it's just us over here and all these anti-Semites, and everyone else is going to be gone. That's what I'm hoping.
What a way to end the show. And I am a little more hopeful right now because all these countries that, as you said, have their you know what in their hands are on the wrong side. They will go down in history as the Chamberlains, as the capitulators, as it's like how does how does a Frenchman say hello? They raise their hands saying that's going to be looked at as that's what the world is going to look like, and that's what the people in America are going to look like. Okay, it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, but I would love to see Tucker's brain exploding right now. Think about it. His master Qatar is making a deal with Israel yesterday. Can you imagine Tucker's brain as he saw the head of the Israeli Air Force or the head of the Israeli Army shaking hands with the head of Qatar? It's so hard sometimes when you say Qatar and Tucker, like they almost go together so perfectly.
They
but
do.
And can you imagine his brain was exploding? What do I do? My master just, so we're in for some interesting times. Again, I want to give people a warning. Please don't doom scroll. Don't
It's not
go
doom
on
scrolling.
X.
Focus on the people celebrating and tune out all the lunatic losers that are going to be pushing out all of their propaganda, all of the Hamas propaganda, because that doesn't go away. And even after this all goes away, and if Hamas was to absolutely surrender and capitulate and give in and sign a peace accords with Israel, there would still be the lunatics in Pakistan and in Europe pushing out this nonsense. So that'll never go away. I make fun of them on X. I have the greatest memes that I post to these guys. One of them is like utter destruction in the background, and it's an Arab-looking gentleman crying, going, after we raped and kidnapped their daughters,
Yes,
they bombed our buildings.
they attacked us.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
I want to point out something, and then I know we're wrapping up, but you just brought up something really important in terms of who you should pay attention to online. Men said this. The ceasefire now crowd is eerily silent about this deal. And it's like the mask has been ripped off because ceasefire was never
That's exactly
their
my
real
point.
goal,
Yeah.
never
Never
their
about a
real demand. It
ceasefire.
was always anti-Jewish. It was always anti-Israel. It was never pro-Palestine. For those of you, oh, it's a pro-Palestinian rally. No, it was an anti-Jewish rally. The humanitarian concern was was a ruse. Those of you who fell for it, that's fine. Don't feel bad. Let it. Now take what is the scales off of your eyes, like the Bible tells you. They weaponized your guilt and they screwed your brain up. And they silenced anyone who had dissent, and they were cheering on kidnaps and this and that and all the rest. Take men's advice. This is, I think, maybe the best piece of advice you've ever given. Listen to the voices right now celebrating peace and not
Listen
those
to
preaching
us.
hate.
Listen to us on loop, okay? If you're going through it right now and you're worried the next 3 days, listen to the daily cheat sheet on loop for the next 4 or 5 days, because we are nothing but positive about this. And I don't think we've been inaccurate, or I don't think we've wavered on our beliefs on this in any which way.
No, listen.
Listen to us.
We are eagerly awaiting the announcement that the Nobel Peace Committee has nominated us.
That's right.
Can I be honest with you guys? I really want to see the picture of these people. Like, I'd rather see the picture of the Norwegians than of the actual prize. I want to thank everybody that's been listening, everybody that's been following, and everybody that's been downloading. We hope we make an hour and 20 minutes of your day, sometimes a little bit better and a little bit more knowledgeable. And again, right now, praying for President Trump, praying for America, and obviously praying for Israel. This could not have been done without them. This could not have been done without the soldiers of the IDF. This could not have been done without, right now, it could not have been done without Egypt. It could not have been done without Qatar, and it couldn't have been done without other actors that we normally hate. Trump has turned allies into enemies and enemies into allies, and those that were on the wrong side will fall, and you'll see it. You'll see it very soon. You'll see Starmer fall. You'll see Macron fall. You'll see these people out of office very quickly, because the Tommy Robinsons of the world will speak up in Britain. They will rise up after this.
Right,
Because
there's only so long you can deny gravity before you hit the ground.
Because as he said, if Israel falls, the West falls. Well, Israel didn't fall. And Tommy Robinson, I hope this gives you courage. I hope this continues to give you the courage to fight for your convictions. It would be great, J.K. Rowling and Tommy Robinson just like torching Europe and going on this like mass crusade. Okay, I want to thank everybody for listening and following from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. And you can always find this at thedailycheatsheet.com. This is dailycheatsheet.com. I want to wish everybody a good morning, afternoon, and night world, wherever you are. God bless you all.